Hello, everybody. This is Shasta Townsend, and we are talking about building confidence and really why this is just so important and often so challenging. I cannot tell if anybody is here. Oh, hey, Michelle. Hey, Jan. We're going to let everybody pop on. Hi, Caroline. Long time no see. So, hi, Laurel. Hi, Kat. Nice to have you all here. I was wondering if I was alone for a second. So this is always awesome to have some live viewers. And hey, Shannon, it's great to have you. As we're just letting everybody join the live feed right now, what I would love for you to think about is there any certain area of your life that you feel a little less confident about? So for example, for a long time, I actually felt really not confident doing things like this, like going live on social media, even though I've done a ton of speaking gigs in front of live people. It always weirded me out to actually just be speaking to what felt like a camera. So I did a lot of work actually on, and it was actually pretty easy work, which I'm going to talk about some of that tonight. Where in your life do you feel like I could really use a shot of confidence? Is it public speaking? Is it putting yourself out there? Is it asking for the sale? Is it being seen in some way? And just go ahead and pop your, top. Where could I use some confidence? Maybe it's even talking to someone in your life about what you want, need, and desire. A lot of times I have conversations with people, both men and women, about speaking to their partner about what they really want in their life, saying no to their kids, whatever it might be. So where in your life do you think, damn, I wish I had a little bit more confidence in this area? Maybe it's trying a new offering. If you're a teacher or a service provider, maybe it's booking your first retreat. What would it be? Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Tammy. So again, I really would love to hear, where can I, support you? I'm going to talk about ways to why this can feel so challenging. And in particular, we're going to really talk about being seen tonight. And I would love to hear from you, where in your life, again, do you fear being seen? So go ahead and pop that. Shannon says, yes, Facebook Lives, creating videos, even though you went to theater school. I totally hear you. I did too. Leading a team, asking for money, speaking your truth. Yeah, absolutely. So, and which, we can feel like, am I the odd one out in all of this? And, I really honor that. And it's an interesting paradigm, because I think that most people actually feel that way. They feel like, I'm the one, like I'm the outcast, or I'm the weirdo. I can't even tell you how many times a day I talk to people, whether it's on, like coaching calls or helping them build their business, whatever it might be. And it's always this real belief that, am I the weird one in all of this? So where in your life, would you like a little bit more confidence and being seen? So here's the thing, it's really interesting because, confidence is talked about a lot in our culture, especially in the realm of self-help and self-development or self-transformation. And I think that there sometimes can be a belief that it's almost like a facade, like people put on this sort of like veneer of confidence. And, we certainly live in a world where things that we are taking in from a social media perspective are very curated. You're seeing the highlight reel, as we've heard. And the thing to also remember is that you're actually seeing the results of people's work. I want you to really think about that. You're seeing the results of people's work. So the self-development work, the strategic work, the thinking, the working on our own stuff, those are not normally things that we're putting on our highlight reel on Instagram or Facebook. We're putting the outcome of that. So when we think about confidence, a lot of people are looking and comparing themselves to other people and saying like, oh shit, she's doing all these things, or they come across as so confident and so together. And it may or may not be true, by the way, but it's actually to really understand that when we're looking at someone who we either admire or we might even feel jealous or envious of, it's that we're actually seeing the results of the work that they've done, both inner work and external work. So a lot of what we're seeing, if you're observing someone, you're looking at the success that they have, it's also to say instead, what can I observe about them that can actually inspire me? And an even better question is, how did they get there? Really think about that. How did they get there? What's the internal work that they did? Who did they work with? What are the systems they're using? Whatever it is. And to actually know that you can have that too. So and why I'm speaking to this is so often, I've been in the yoga and health business for almost 20 years now. And before that, I was actually in public relations and in the corporate world. And I did a ton of speaking and actually supported executives, many who were often twice my age, build more confidence as speakers and build more confidence as leaders and managers of teams. And I know that anyone can learn these skills, but here's the thing, it's to really understand that often we have a story, which is what I want to dive into next, around who we're allowed to be and how we're allowed to be seen. So confidence, if we go back to this, isn't so much about showing up in a way that's not authentically you. And you'll often see people and you might admire the way that they show up in the world, or you think, man, they have like big cojones or doing amazing things. If I just imitate that or mimic that or emulate that or copycat that in some way, then I'll have that level of success and that level of whatever it might be, leadership, influence, confidence. But that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm really talking tonight about the ability to actually allow yourself to be seen. So what does that mean? I mean, I'd love to hear when I say that word, when I say, allowing yourself to actually be seen, what is the emotion that comes up for you? Is it terror? Is it like, what does that mean? Is it excitement? Is it confusion? Just go ahead and type your, oh, hey, Stephanie, you're here too. That's awesome. Type your comments in below. What, when you think about, oh my God, someone is seeing me, what is it that is the emotion that comes up? This is actually really important to identify for a very specific reason that I'm going to talk about next. So I'm not getting that comment feed here. Let me just make sure that this is working. So for me, it's interesting when I think about this idea of being seen, I feel both a sense of almost like insecurity and terror, and at the same time also like excitement and kind of like waiting to be the one that actually is chosen. I don't mean that egotistically, meaning like, oh, I can share my little bit of knowledge and passion with the world. And we are really living in a time where the ability to be seen is everywhere, that the amount of influence, the amount of service, the amount of sharing that can be done has really never happened on this planet like it can before. But what comes up with that is it really triggers actually our fear of being seen. And what that really means is our fear of being judged. And all of us have had an experience at one point in our life where we put ourselves out there, whether it was in school, it was with a friend, it might have been in a romantic or sexual realm, it might have been in a work realm, it might have been an idea that you shared. We put ourselves out there and we were totally shut down and cut down. The other thing that we often deal with, I think especially as women, is what is called the tall poppy syndrome. And the tall poppy syndrome is really the fear that if you stand out, that you're going to be literally, cut off, crucified, taken down in some way. And we certainly see in our culture that we love to build people up and put them on pedestals, but we love even more to tear them down and like totally vilify people in the end. There's sort of this weird reality TV culture. But that's to really understand that that's, not something that we have to either manifest or attract. But to really go back to this idea that confidence and putting ourselves out there, which is really what this evening is about more, and being seen is, first off, I think that there is a normal and very natural fear that comes with that. We have fears, I said, for many reasons, because of our own personal experience, because of a lot of cultural values, sometimes very ways that women are allowed to be seen. Maybe yoga teachers are allowed to be seen. We're never allowed to swear or drink wine or any of that shit. So there can be a fear that we're not fitting into a mold, because what we're really afraid of is judgment. So one of the most powerful things you can do, and I know many of you have studied with me before, some of you were on the previous Facebook Live, and some of you are new to my world, and I'm so happy that you're here. But I love to make the unconscious, I always think of it as sitting back here at the back of my brain, conscious. So I want you to actually type this out or write this out right now. What is it that I fear people will see and reject? What is it that I fear people will see and reject? So one of the things I'm going to, in this group, it's totally open, clear, honest communication, and I want to model that. One of the things for a really long time is I really had this internal judgment about myself, that I wasn't this kind of angelic, soft yoga teacher, that I really was a woman with a very clear voice. I drop the F-bomb almost every second word. I like to joke around. I talk about sex. I talk about money. And this was, years ago, I had this sort of story in my head, if I really let people see that, if I really let people see, how fucking clear I am about things, how passionate I am about things, people are not going to think that I'm a nice person. They're not going to think that I'm one of these angelic yoga women. And it really held me back. I really stifled myself. I felt actually inauthentic sometimes, and it felt fucking tiring. It's very tiring to wear any type of facade. And I'm not open for any feedback on this. I don't want your coaching on this. I'm just using that as an example. So there's always some aspect of ourself that's actually our superpower, that we are actually afraid people will judge and reject. So if you can actually just acknowledge that, in the last couple of years, I've actually done a lot of really deep work on this, and I feel emancipated in many ways from that stuff. But the first thing that I really want to, offer you is to think about, what is it that you fear people are going to say about you? And where can you just make that unconscious conscious? And to really just acknowledge that. Now I'm finally getting comments, so thank you. Hey, Sherry. Just going back to my question, while you kind of sit with that of, yes, people said terror, fear of being judged, absolutely, vulnerable and fearful. This is the idea of being seen. Tammy says, after a ton of work, yeah, I feel more neutral about it. I love it. Yeah, when Shan says she judged others, right? It's totally true. So here's the thing about that is, often if you are watching somebody, or you feel judgment, or you feel resentment, or you feel some sort of what we call heavier energy, it's really often a projection of ourselves. So that's really a powerful thing to notice is when you are observing other people and you feel either kind of judgmental of them or triggered, it's always a really good place to look at what's my story about that. I remember once I went to a yoga studio in New York City, and the teacher was like, she like swore every second word, and I was like, oh my God, she's swearing in class. Oh my God, oh my God. And then I realized, okay, that's totally my like weird internal judgment and projection going on here. So it's always great to notice that stuff. I love it. And I mean, it's also not judging ourselves. It's being real with all of this. So just getting back to this, one of the things, again, as I said, is to really look at, one, what's the story that I have about being seen? Two, what really am I afraid people are going to see? And then the next aspect is to really ask yourself, what do you need to do in yourself in order to basically own that and to basically be okay with that, to be at peace with that? Because as I said, the interesting thing is that it's actually your superpower. It's actually the thing that's going to magnetize people to you. There's lots of people that come into my world because they're like, oh, you're a straight shooter and you tell it like it is. And I feel like you're not going to coddle me. And, I like that you are real. Someone actually just sent me a thank you note. It was so adorable. And she said, thank you for keeping it real. And I'm not trying to be, like confrontational. I'm not trying to be upsetting to anybody. It's just that this is sort of the authentic way that I would talk to you if we were at a dinner party or coaching or on a Facebook Live. And I have integrated that fear of people are going to judge me because of the things that I talked about. So ask yourself, where is that story coming from? And one of the stories for me is that I was called a bitch very early in my life by a boy that I went to school with. And anyways, it left this lasting impression that it wasn't appropriate as a woman to be outspoken. And so I really had this internal story in my head for a really long time. So those are three things that I really, invite you to look at, that you can do the work around this. If you want help with that, reach out to me, or if you have a mentor or coach that you work with in your life, because I guarantee that subconscious belief, those stories are absolutely holding you back. They're absolutely causing you to stay in a state of either confusion, lack of action, or overcomplication. So confusion, lack of action, or overcomplication. I tend to be the latter. I overcomplicate things. But all of us have a way of blocking really that next level of success, which is being seen or taking risks or finding that place of real confidence in ourselves. So the mirror, yes. So the first thing that I really want to talk about, this was a big chunk of the teaching, is to really notice again, what are the stories that you have about yourself and about being seen and about allowing that authentic voice to come in. I want to shift gears just a tiny little bit to actually talk a little bit about, because some people have messaged me about dealing with haters actually and judgment. So I hope that that's okay for everybody. Has anyone, just type in the messages, has anyone ever got like a shitty comment on social media, or somebody made a comment about, what you said, what you look like, what you sound like, whatever it might be? If you have, then it actually means that you are putting it out there. If you haven't, get set, because you will start to attract that type of thing if you are really taking a stand for something. And what I mean by taking a stand for something isn't like taking a stand against something, though to some degree there's a little bit of that energy in that as well. It's really to take a stand for something in your life, something that you care about, something, being the person that you are, sharing your values, sharing your story, sharing whatever it might be for yourself. I recently shared that I just got a whole bunch of penis pictures sent to me, which were an interesting experience. I don't know what I was putting out that day. But it's really to, understand that we are going to receive sometimes things that are unwanted. And a lot of the fear that I hear from my clients, teachers that I coach, even people in teacher training, and even myself, is like, oh my God, I don't want to have to deal with this shit. I don't want to upset people. I don't want maybe my family to be upset by things. So there can be a sort of reticence of putting ourselves out there, sharing our message because we're fearful, or we're just like, I don't know how to deal with that. So let's talk a little bit about haters. So the first thing when I say the word haters is just somebody who, you know, has something kind of nasty to say, and they're often like armchair critics. And the first thing to really understand is that, one, if you do get, whether it's comments on things, or someone sends you an email bomb, or they send you a private message, or whatever that is out there, it's actually to understand that you are actually making some sort of wave. So I'm not saying go out there and try to do these things, but don't be afraid to actually share a specific message from yourself. Don't be afraid to say, this is who I really am. Because when we're getting comments like that, it's just to actually know that you are actually taking a stand for something. You're actually making a difference. You're actually sharing your voice in the world. And that's a really good thing. And that takes a ton of confidence and courage. And the truth is, people that are going around making these sort of like nasty comments, they probably are not doing that. Think about it. I mean, you have things that you want to create and accomplish in your life. You're not going around leaving nasty troll marks on people's social media. So haters tend to be people that just frankly have a lot of time on their hands, and they probably should be in a shitload of yoga classes instead of trolling the social media. So anytime that I get a nasty comment, I just like realize, one, okay, it actually means that I'm not just vanilla. I'm actually putting something out there. Two, this is just somebody who feels the need to, you know, be vitriolic in some way or nasty in some way. And then it really becomes, you know, I know your question is, well, how do I actually deal with that? So there's 3 ways. And you may want to, you know, write this down or just pop this in your brain. One, you can lovingly but very powerfully speak to the hater. So recently I took a really strong stance on Facebook around the kind of poverty mindset that I see in the yoga community. And I got half, oh my God, where have you been all my life comments? And I got half, you are the spawn of the devil. And what I did in those, so one woman said something like, why do you think as yoga teachers we should be allowed to be financially successful, make money? You know, yoga's not about money. And I said, I'm not saying yoga's about money. I'm saying that when we're in a spiritually aligned place, money will naturally flow. And then I asked her, why did she think that money wasn't spiritual? So I'm not saying that, oh my God, you're an idiot, you're a bitch. I'm just opening the dialogue. And so my way of dealing with that was to actually just lovingly engage with this person and to invite her to think about things in a different way. Whether she does or not doesn't matter. Obviously, we can't take anything personally. So when you get comments that feel attacking, or they're annoyed by what you say, one of the tactics that you can use is you actually engage with them, and you do it in a polite but powerful way. Second thing is sometimes people just say inane asshole things on social media. So you can either share that, actually make kind of like a funny out of it. Someone wrote me a message once on Instagram. It was super awesome. She said, intelligent people never use emojis, because I use a lot of emojis. And I actually screenshotted her comment. I blocked out her name so no one could see. And I screenshotted her comment, and I use it on social media with a shitload of emojis to say, ha ha ha, you know, even though this person said that, you know, I shouldn't be using emojis, thanks so much for your feedback, emoji, 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 emoji. So it was kind of just like a funny, light way of dealing with it. So you can actually use these things to kind of like for content. And then the third thing is you can actually just decide to delete things. So there's sometimes where people will make comments on things that are just, to me, so inappropriate, so left field, maybe like super religious right, which is totally not my bag. And I actually just delete them and block that person. I take a pretty strong like divine feminine stance and sacred spirituality stance. And every so often I get emails from the religious right, or I should say comments from the religious right. And I just literally delete and block those people because they're just that many blessings on your path. But, I have no interest in engaging with you. And honestly, you just have to let that shit go. Like, do not hold on to it at all. And that's actually really part of being confident in who you are and what you're saying, is that, again, you can deal with it, you can respond and have an open dialogue. So that's actually what social media is about. It's really like an open forum where we can exchange ideas if we chose to. We can actually like use that as content for ourselves when someone says some like inane or hysterical or just like total asshole comment. You can actually pick it up and use it in your own feed. I always block people's namesakes. And then the third is you can actually just delete and block that shit. And it's really to understand that this doesn't mean that you're a bad person, you're manifesting malevolence in your life. It's not anything like that. It's just the nature of social media. It's a little bit of the nature of being seen. And I think it's also why it's really powerful to be in groups like this and to be with people who are actually up-leveling their life, putting themselves out there, taking risks, looking at their own stuff, and supporting each other in that. Because sometimes it can feel isolating and lonely, even though there's 7 billion people, I don't know how many are on social media, but there's lots. So that's dealing with haters. Did that, everybody questions about that? I'm going to take 2 more minutes because I want to deal with one other aspect that I get a lot of questions about, and that is fear of family and fear of judgment as we begin to put ourselves out there and be seen a little bit more. And as a woman that wrote about sex and how I grew up, I have dealt with that. So we're really like diving deep in so many areas tonight, talking about confidence, talking about really looking at, what are the stories that come up when we think about being seen? What are we afraid people are going to see? How can we own that? And then I talked also about, haters and my 3 prongs to dealing with haters. And I want to just close tonight with this idea of judgment. So one of the reasons that I have certainly dealt with this previously in my life, and I hear a lot of my clients and students talk about this, is it's really like a fear of how are my friends or family going to perceive me if I start to put myself out there in new ways or more ways or different ways, whether that's on social media, whether that's trying new things as, again, a teacher or a service provider, or maybe it's even just like taking a different type of class or mentoring. I know a couple of years ago when I really decided to dive into self-development and work with one mentor, a lot of people in my life were like, well, I have no idea what that means. I'm super confused. Why are you spending time with this person? Why are you letting this person help you grow your business? Why are you letting this person help you grow, your mindset? Because they just weren't in that mindset. So no matter what it is, the thing I think to just really notice is when we think about family and friends, and this is a whole training and Facebook Live on itself, but I want you to just begin to notice what are the stories and fears there, and what do I fear that my family or friends will judge me as. And they might. The truth is they might actually judge you that way. And then it becomes a question of, are these people that you really truly want to be in relationship with, or what type of relationship? So one of the things that I discovered in the last couple of years is there's actually conversations that I no longer can have with my family. They just are not on the same wavelength. They totally don't get what the heck I'm talking about. They're in a high state of judgment. They have no idea what I do. Like, they don't understand what I do. And they don't understand why I invest money in self-development and business growth and technology. So those aren't things that I talk about. I don't want their feedback. I don't want their opinion. So I've been discerning enough to know that. And that's really important for yourself. The second really aspect then is to look at, I'm going to kind of leave you with this. It's a big thought, but it's an important one. It's also like, what's the identity and role that you've been in these relationships? And do you have the confidence, and what would you need in order to cultivate the confidence to allow yourself to continue to grow? So often, we have relationships that are based on, I used to be a certain way for you, and now I'm shifting and changing, and I fear your rejection because of that. And to really begin to look at, what do you need in terms of the support in your life? What do you need to give to yourself in order to feel confident in your growth? Because your sole purpose is actually more important than your marriage. Your sole purpose is actually more important than your kids. Your sole purpose is actually more important than any family and friendships you have in your life. And I know that's a strong statement, but it's absolutely true, because you're here with a divine mission, you're here with a divine message, and you're here with this divine frequency. And it's to understand that every single one of us are on this planet to share that in whatever way is meaningful for us. And so often we hold our friends, family, kids, circumstances as a reason to stay small. And it's actually not fair to them, and it's certainly not fair to ourselves. And to know also that there are so many people waiting for you. There's already a ton of people that want you just the way you are, that are so thrilled for your growth and your message. And that's what this group is about also. So I would love for you to share even later tonight, what was your aha out of this? What is the message that you're feeling, and what also is what is that challenge for yourself in being seen that you're going to step into the end of August, into the fall? For me, I'm putting myself out there much more in social media. I'm going to be doing a training on how to actually really magnetize people through our authentic self, through social media and other realms of communication and marketing. And I'm loving it. I'm loving being with people like you, and I would love to hear your feedback. What was an aha? And as always, I'm trying to really grow this community. And as you know, it's very much about being honest, supportive, transparent, and holding each other to our divine purpose with grace and love. So if you have friends that would benefit from this and add value, please do invite them. And thanks so much for being here. I know that your time is valuable. I honor that. And I honor everything that you want to create in this world. And I truly believe and see. And I will see you all soon. Keep rocking it. Bye.